Hello and welcome to this edition of Minstrels on the Block, where we bring you the finest singer-songwriters in the Valley area. This morning's special guest is local folk hero Rick Edwards. So Rick Edwards, how you doing? Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you, sir.
So tell me about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in Columbus, Georgia, as a matter of fact, right across the river.
Cool. You live here your whole life?
Well, I've lived in this area most all of my life, yeah. I was born in Columbus, right about 2 years old. My family moved over to Phoenix City, so I was reared and educated in Phoenix City.
What was it like growing up in Phoenix City? Because I know it kind of used to be a wild place.
You know, I don't remember an awful lot of it, but it was supposedly wild when I was growing up. When I was 6 or 7 years old going to school, I went to St. Patrick's Elementary School. It was right downtown Phoenix City. And, we used to walk to school and back and never had a problem at all. So I didn't really know that Phoenix City was wild and crazy. It was just a playground to me.
That's cool. So what did you, obviously you weren't into the entertainment of the day, so to speak. What did you do for entertainment?
Well, I was into entertainment, but it was basically, in those days, Phoenix City had a movie theater. Right downtown Phoenix City also, where we kids would walk up there, and it was the old Palace Theater. Right down the street from the Elite Cafe where Albert Patterson was shot.
Wow.
So we used to walk up there and go to the movies there, a nickel to get in. So
wow.
Hard to beat.
Can't do that these days.
No. You also get a double feature, a cartoon, and a cereal in those days, all for a nickel. Couldn't hardly beat it.
Yeah, you couldn't beat it, and you still can't beat it. So, tell me about your family. Did you come from a musical family?
No. I am the only one in my family that I know of that's ever actually pursued it. Now, my brother after me, but before me, no. I had no musical influence in my family whatsoever. Did
you get support from your, since they were not a musical family, when you decided you wanted to play? Tell me about some of that. Did you get support from them or the opposite?
No, most of my family weren't very culturally. They weren't a cultural group of people. Right. They were farmers from down home, down South Alabama. They moved up here to go to work in the cotton mill. My granddaddy and grandmama, and brought all that family with them. Mm-hmm. So they weren't into that sort of thing, and they didn't play any music at all. Mm-hmm. And they didn't understand the arts. Therefore, I did not get a lot of support from my family when I was in my formative years, and when I first started playing and writing songs. They didn't understand what it was all about.
Right.
So I didn't get an awful lot of that. I learned it mostly on my own.
Wow. So as far as a question I want to ask about your music in a moment, you mentioned a brother. Did you have like a lot of siblings? Or?
Oh, yeah. I've got 5 half-brothers.
Wow.
Same mother, different fathers. I was the firstborn. They're all younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was a slew of us.
That's cool. Now, as far as you got into the arts, your family was not in the arts. Yeah, I think you had mentioned that you went to work in a different field from like mill work since.
Well, actually, Brian, I did work a couple of stints in the mill. Mm-hmm. I just couldn't cut it in the mill. I didn't make it in the cotton mills, thank goodness. But I did pursue another career to actually make some money back in the, you call that a career, it was just construction work. Come up as a carpenter building houses, actually. And you could mix construction work with music pretty easy. If you laid out, it wasn't such a big deal.
Yeah.
So, that's basically what I did. And most musicians these days, and many songwriters all across the country and the world, they have to take a job to make a living so that they can actually support their music habit.
Yes.
I mean, it is a habit,
Yes.
You get into it, you get to loving it, and you'll do just about anything to keep at it. I mean, I know you've got a home studio. I have a home studio. A lot of musicians do these days because it's so easy to do now in the digital age. So
A lot more technology than there used to be.
But see, you still, and you also have to pay for this equipment. So you got to have a job, because you're not going to make any money around here as a serious singer-songwriter.
Right.
No offense toward anybody, but you're just not.
Yeah.
There's not enough venues that support original folk music, and actually our culture doesn't support us as well as they should either, which is something we all need to work on.
Yeah.
Which is what this show is about, to get that kind of word out there to people that, yes, we have a lot of talented people in this area, and they doing their thing. They need to be appreciated.
Yeah. And there's so much, for the listeners out there, your next favorite song may be playing downtown tonight.
That's right. That's right.
So tell me about, do you have any outstanding experiences in growing up in the area? Is there anything that you look back on a regular basis and like laugh at? Or
I thought you was going to ask me if I had any outstanding warrants.
That's the next question.
I'll repeat that question again. I didn't get it.
Any, like, growing up in a time where things were nickel movies and things like that, are there any experiences that stand out in your mind as far as growing up in that time? Any stories you like to tell, things like that?
About my youth? Well, I don't have an awful lot of stories from my youth that I share with people. I mean, no.
Okay. Simple question, simple answer. We like that. Okay, now, as far as your music, going into your music, how did you learn? Are you like self-taught? Did you like go out and buy an Ernie Ball book, or how did that work? How did you?
Well, actually, it was a Mel Bay book, but
Mel Bay.
I don't think they had Ernie Ball books back then, but they may have. But anyway, that's how I learned. I just bought a guitar and one of those little pitch pipes.
Yeah.
And some black diamond strings to go on it,
Sounds
and a Mel Bay chord book. Yeah. It wasn't even a method book, but really it's just a chord book. I still got the book, and that's how I learned. I had natural rhythm. I could sing and carry a tune when I was a kid coming up, even before I started really wanting to be a songwriter.
Right. Yeah.
So I was already writing poetry, just stuff like that. So whenever I got the idea that I wanted to do like what Bob Dylan was doing, I wanted to be able to sit around and play my guitar and sing my songs. Yeah. So that's basically how that started. So I just got me a guitar and went to work with it.
Cool. Coming up after this message from Rick Edwards, as he plays one of his songs, we'll go into the beginnings of his music and how he got started. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name's Rick Edwards. It's nice to be on Minstrels on the Block. I'm going to do a song that I wrote back in 1971. It's called The Great White Race. Once there lived a man who was always right, although he said. Once there lived a man whose skin was white, and that means a lot, he says. And this great white man of the great white race judged some men by the color of their skin, condemning them to die by his hand, condemning them to die by his blade. As they died, he cursed them still. He said he'd had his fill. Not far away, a baby cries. His face is black as the night. Left alone to live his life by the flashing blade of his knife. And this great white man of the great white race went right on living at his normal pace. He didn't think what he'd done was wrong, for the man at the bar had urged him on by filling his head with tales of old, tales I'm ashamed were ever told, about the Indians that died, the blood and killed by the great white race of his great-grandpa, the slaves he'd owned, how the Yankees drove him from his home, of a great world war the Japs he'd killed, forgotten by America they died, of a long-haired flower child hippie type, cut down by the boys in blue. Then this great white man of the great white race went down and earned me my disgrace. And it seems like they'd learned through the years not to hate. And it seems like they'd learned from their mistakes. But this great white man of the great white race, it seems he'll never learn. And this unwillingness to accept a man just for what he is just a reason for the killing and the ignorance